My name is Rob Pride, and I'm currently honored to serve as the chairman of the National Trustees on the executive board. When I got hired on with the Louisville Police Department in Colorado in 1994, I was literally drugged to my first FOP meeting. I had a very astute sergeant who valued the FOP and saw the importance of being an FOP member. And I really wasn't given a choice. He literally told me to meet him at the police department at 5 o'clock one night. And we drove to our lodge was a regional lodge. We drove to the meeting, and I really didn't know what I was going there for. And the next thing I knew, I was taking the membership oath, and I was becoming an FOP member pretty much because he said to do that. And so I was a member in the FOP and just a member of the FOP until about 2005 is when I really started to take an interest and have a desire to do more in the FOP than just be a member. That started for me at the New Orleans conference 2005, right before Katrina hit. I did not go as a delegate. I was invited as a guest. Steve Schultz, who's currently our state president in Colorado, he invited me to come down just to see what the conference was about. And after I experienced that and experienced being with 5,000 of our brothers and sisters from across the nation and seeing what the FOP was about on that level, that's when I decided to become more involved in the FOP. I got involved with my local lodge. About that time, I sat as the labor chairman for my local lodge. Shortly after that, I became president of our local lodge, where I was president for 6 years. During that time, I got involved at the state lodge level. I've held the position of sergeant at arms, second vice president, and now I'm the national trustee for Colorado. And then at our conference in Nashville in 2017, I was honored by my fellow trustees and the membership to become the national chairman of trustees, where I currently sit. No, I really didn't. Like I said, I really didn't know that much about the FOP when I became a member. But I think for me, what's a testament to the FOP and what really draws people in is that time I spent at the national conference in 2005. I really learned more about what the FOP was about the brotherhood and the sisterhood that is the FOP, and that's what drove me to want to be involved, at least at the local level. But even then, I had no aspirations and never thought that I would be involved even at the state level or the national level like I am now. So it didn't start out that way for me, but I think, again, that's a tribute to our organization and what it does when you're involved and you get a feel for what the organization is and you believe in it. It makes you want to get more involved and lead from different positions, and that's what I love about the FOP. Well, my position is a lot different than the other executive board positions. Unfortunately, the membership does not get to vote on my position at National Conference on the executive board. My position is voted on by the national trustees. Each state has a national trustee, and those trustees collectively vote on who their chairman is going to be on the national board. My primary responsibility is to represent them on the national executive board, be a conduit of information to the national trustees about anything on the national e-board that we're discussing, make sure they get that information, make sure that anything that the trustees have as far as concerns, comments, suggestions, praises, or whatever gets relayed back to the national executive board. And that's really the primary functions of my duties, is to represent each and every one of the national trustees on the executive board and be their representative voice. It's a lot. It's a lot more than I thought it was going to be before I took the position. I would say, it really depends on what we have going on at the time. But I would say with all the work that the e-board does collectively and the conversations we have, it's a minimum of probably 10 hours a week between emails and text messages and phone calls and all the stuff we have to do. Sometimes it's way more than that. Sometimes it's way less than that. But it does take a lot of time. But again, I'm honored to do it, and I think all the executive board members are honored to do it, and that's why we do it, even though we know it's going to take a lot of our time. Like many other members, I'm a full-time working cop, so I have a job to do at home. I'm a patrol sergeant, so I have a crew to run at home. I have some other units within the agency that I run, and that's on top of my FOP work. So it's a strain on home life, it's a strain on work life, and I really appreciate the support that I get from my agency and my chief, who has been nothing but supportive about my work in the FOP, and I know a lot of people don't have that same benefit from their agency. So I'm very blessed to have an agency that supports what I do. The crew that works for me is fantastic. They support me being gone more than any other sergeant would be. But it does take a toll, and that's what I would tell any aspiring leaders is really have that conversation, especially with your family, because if you really want to do the job and do it right, this does take a lot of time away, personal time that you would normally have with family or to do other things that you enjoy to do. Well, wow, from the time I first became a member, I think probably some of the biggest changes that are out there is our involvement legislatively. I think we have a presence in Washington, D.C. now that we've never had before, and that's a tribute to the leaders that came before us: Chuck Canterbury, Dick Boyd, Steve Young, all those people that really worked hard to get our presence in Washington, D.C. That's been one of the biggest things I've seen since being on the E-Board, is how recognized and sought we are in Washington, D.C. by various members of legislature, by the White House, the president. I think that's one of the biggest changes I've seen. Really, I think overall as a membership, I think, or as an organization, I think the biggest changes I've seen have been just the changes in our profession as a whole and how we've had to react to that. When I first became a member and I first became a cop, there weren't cameras on cell phones, and there weren't all the digital media that we have today and the social media that we have today. And so I think our organization has done a decent job keeping up with that and responding to that with our concerns about members' rights in regards to, let's say, body-worn cameras and social media policies and things like that. That's probably technology and digital media is probably the biggest change I've seen. And I really appreciate where we're at now and where we're going now with our social media committee and the different committees we have addressing that and making sure our social media presence is out there, and that the members know we're out there and that the world knows we're out there and what we're doing for our members and what our positions are on things. So that's really the biggest change, is just the technology aspect of it, and seeing the order kind of have to change with the times in regards to some of those things and keep up. And I think we have a lot more work to do, but I really like where we're at with it now. Well, I mean, there's a ton of them within our profession. I think the biggest, most impactful change I've seen on our profession, I guess is maybe a good way to put it, is really the respect and the attitude towards law enforcement. When I first started the job, I think there was a different feel towards law enforcement across the country. I think for the most part we were respected. We were the good guys. We were the people that people looked to fix problems and respond to in their communities and help with things. And we still are that to our community, I think, in the country, across the country. But as you and everybody knows, there's a new narrative. Ferguson and several other incidents across our country developed these false narratives about law enforcement, and it's creeped into all aspects of what we do. And now the mainstream media and others, activist groups, have made us the bad guys, and it's disappointing to see that. I think the pendulum is swinging back again to people being more educated about what we do, and we're not so much the bad guys as we were maybe in the last 5 or 6 years. But that's been the biggest change and the most difficult to watch, is to see the men and women of law enforcement who put their lives on the line every day for their communities, and their families sacrifice, and they sacrifice only to be made out to be the bad guys all the time, no matter what they do or how hard they try or what rules they follow. We're the bad guys, and that's been difficult to endure in our profession and to see that happen. But especially with the FOP, I think we are on the right track of changing that narrative back and doing the things we need to do for the cops to be the good guys once again, and not to be hated or misunderstood, really, is the problem with that. Yeah, absolutely. And I think in a lot of ways we're doing that. I think the number one thing, I think this working commission that's been put together by executive order by the president, one of the subcommittees on that is dealing specifically with respect for law enforcement and coming with ideas on how we can partner with the community and open those doors of communication with the community to sit down and really let's talk about what the issues are. Let's talk about why the community feels the way they do in certain areas of our country about law enforcement and figure out what we can do to change it. I think that's all we can ask for as the FOP is let's open the door and let's have some dialogue instead of back and forth and us versus them and kind of the way the dialogue's been. Well, let's come to the table. Let's address the issues and let's see if we can come up with solutions together. And I think I would encourage any local lodge or agency across the country to have that philosophy instead of the us versus them and they don't know what they're talking about or all those things. Let's come together and let's not only get their perspective on things and hear why they feel the way they do, but let's share our perspective with them. And maybe if we can just open those lines of communications and have a good, solid talk at the table about why we do what we do and why they feel the way they do, I think nothing but good things can come from that if both sides really want that goal of community partnership and us working together, because we have to do it. Oh, wow. I mean, for me personally, I that's hard for me to answer because I've really had the honor of being a part of a lot of great things in the FOP. I can tell you that the one thing I've prided on is prided myself in trying to do is bring us together. You know, there's no secret that there's been, you know, different groups and different factions with different political viewpoints within the FOP. And the one thing I've really strived to do as National Chairman of Trustees is bring us all together, even though we might differ in opinion and differ in how we think things should be done within the membership. I think we all have the same goal, and that is to serve this membership, to do what's best for the working cop on the street every day. And we just have to figure out a way to communicate that together and bring our ideas together and not be us versus them. I think, like we just talked about, there's enough us versus them outside of our order that we don't need it in the order. So whether I accomplish that or not, I guess, is up to my fellow board members and the members to decide, but that's one thing I've really strived for, is trying to bring us all together, unified as one front, and let's attack these issues together as a unified front rather than fighting amongst ourselves and causing issues amongst ourselves that we don't need. The one thing I really think that we have the opportunity to accomplish that we haven't gotten yet, but we have a plan in place and we're on our way there, is the National Healthcare Program by the FOP. We've partnered with Aetna to come up with a great, right now we have a Medicare supplement plan in place that's affordable for our members who qualify for Medicare. But this partnership with Aetna has the potential of becoming a huge deal for the FOP. Right now we're working on a goal of if we can get 25,000 members enrolled in this Medicare supplement program, Aetna has agreed to write a national healthcare plan for the FOP. That's unbelievable. You can only imagine what the game changer that will be for the FOP, for us to be able to offer a health care plan specifically for FOP members at an affordable rate, which could eventually turn into having a national FOP healthcare trust system that's just for our members. And I know a lot of our members out there who work for agencies or belong to lodges that bargain for retiree healthcare. That may or may not be a game changer for them. But I think the majority of our members across the country who do not have retiree healthcare and who work longer, who work till age 60, 65 because they can't afford healthcare until they become Medicare eligible, this is really going to be a game changer for them. And there's a large portion of our membership who fit into that. And so I think we're on the right track with that. I think we've tried for years to find the right partner and the right combination to do that with. I feel very good right now with where we're at with Aetna that we've reached that. And that's the number one thing I would think is our priority, and the number one thing for me that I would like to see us accomplish that we haven't quite gotten done yet is a national health care plan, affordable health care plan for all of our members, no matter what walk of life they're in or where they're at in their career, that they can choose an affordable health care plan. All the FOP greats, Dick Boyd. Listen to that guy speak at a conference, going to one of my first leadership matters. He taught the class that he teaches about leadership. If that doesn't fire you up, nothing will. Pat Yos, Frank Gale, Chuck Canterbury, all those guys, watching them do what they do and watching them interact with the members, do the things that they did. I was very blessed to be able to be a part of that and to, in some way, some shape or form, be mentored by all of those individuals who really made me want to become more part of it. Outside the FOP, influential people, it's been an honor to meet with the President of the United States and represent the members doing that, talk about the matters that are important to our members, and get commitment from he and some of his top staff on helping us with issues that are important to us. And there's tons of people along the way, but I would have to say the most influential people I've met in my FOP career have been FOP leaders. I really feel strongly that we are on a good path as the FOP with the things that we're doing legislatively, the things we're doing with marketing, social media. In 5 years, I would like to see our membership be way bigger than it is now. I don't think it's unheard of, especially with our plans for healthcare, for us to be 100,000 members stronger than we are today. I would like to see us continue to be effective and grow on the legislative front in Washington, D.C., and be that legislative voice that represents the concerns of our members nationwide. I would like to see us be a lot better at succession planning and preparing new leaders to step up and lead this organization in the future. I think we're doing some things right now. I think at our Leadership Matters conference this year, we're going to have an entire training session or work session, if you will, to get feedback from members on what we can do to prepare our younger members to get them involved, because they are truly the future of our organization. And I think we should, if there's any area I think that we've kind of dropped the ball on, I think it's that. But I think we're on the right track with some of the things that President Yos is doing as far as having a succession planning committee, having a strategic planning committee, having those things in place, I think is going to help. But I really want us to focus on preparing the next generation of leadership within our organization, and not being afraid of that. I think as leaders, we get in these positions and things tend to get political, and you don't want people running against you, or you don't want to lose your office. And at the end of the day, this is about what the members decide and who the members decide is best. And I think we do ourselves a disservice by holding on to these positions and locking them in and being so afraid of not having them that we lose focus on, hey, let's get the next brother or sister ready for FOP leadership. Along those lines, that I think we need to continue to improve in the area of getting our female members involved and getting our female members in positions of leadership within the organization. I think they offer a very unique perspective to leadership. We've already seen it in our police profession for years and years, the unique perspective and leadership they can bring, and I think our female members within the organization could bring the same to the FOP, and I think we need to do way more than we're doing now to foster female leadership within the FOP. The two I really have enjoyed being a part of, for me, is the recruitment committee. I love recruitment. I love going out and telling people about the FOP, people who aren't members. I love being able to share with them my story in the FOP, other stories about the FOP and why the FOP would be beneficial for them. I really got a lot of joy out of doing that. And the other one for me has been the diversity committee. I really think that committee has done a lot of good work in regards to figuring out ways and polling our membership to figure out what we need to do to remain diversity friendly and to encourage all ethnic groups, all socioeconomic groups, help them feel welcome in the FOP, different ways to reach out and recruit those members and different ways to bring diversity to the leadership positions in the FOP. That committee has done a lot. I look forward to being a part of that and being a liaison to them as we move forward and come up with even bigger and better ideas on how the FOP can do better when it comes to different areas of diversity within our membership and the leadership. Those have been the most rewarding committees for me. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. This is really, I can't say enough about Leadership Matters, and it's not only about the classes and the training that goes on here, but it's about the ability to network, to talk to other members and leaders from all over the country, to talk to your national board and your national executive board leadership about different ideas or different things we could be doing. So being here is a huge step along that journey, but the number one thing I would say to them is thank you for stepping up. Thank you for raising your hand and saying, I want to lead, I want to do more in the FOP. Because the FOP cannot be the FOP unless we continually have new or young aspiring leaders raising their hands, stepping up and saying, here am I, send me, I'll go do the work. Anybody that's been involved in FOP work knows how time consuming and the sacrifices that go with it. And I applaud them. I applaud them for being here. I applaud them for stepping up. And what I would leave them with is this. Your national FOP executive board is here for you. And that's one thing I love about the national FOP and the way we're set up is that our young aspiring leaders or anybody, any member for that matter, has constant ongoing access to their national leadership. Don't be afraid to approach us. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to throw ideas out there. That we need that. We need that in our organization, and whatever we can do to help those leaders that are here at Leadership Matters to learn, to foster their growth, to help them along in their leadership journey, we're willing to do, and don't be afraid to ask. What I would say to all 350,000 members across our country is, this is all about you. We're here for you. This is a membership-driven organization. We want to hear from you. We want you to be involved. We want you to dialogue with us. It's another thing to get involved. And I think the more we get involved as members in the FOP, the larger we're going to grow, and the sky is really the limit for us. So that would be my message, is just get involved and let us know how we can help you. Not one. It's been an honor to serve at all levels. I feel, for lack of a better term, I feel incredibly blessed that my fellow trustees and our membership as a whole has put their faith and trust in me to do this job. It does take a lot of time and there are sacrifices involved, but I would not have it any other way. It's an honor to do this for our members. It's an honor to have a small part in making the order better, to making our profession better. Zero regrets. I think if I were to have any regret at all, it would be that maybe I haven't done enough. And I look forward to the opportunity over the next few years to do more and do whatever I can to make us better.